The Honorable Sanda Ojuambo, Assistant Secretary General and CEO of UN Global Impact, my fellow Task Force leader, Bapak Ririk Ardiansyah, Chair of Task Force for Digitalization, fellow speakers and moderators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and welcome to all of you to the island of Bali. As Chair of B20 Indonesia Integrity and Compliance Task Force, I am truly honored to be here today to present highlight of our policy recommendations. Firstly, I would like to say a few words about the structure of our task force. I'm assisted by Paulo Cartajumena as my deputy chair. Paulo is from Bank Negara Indonesia, and Amelia Susanto from BCA as policy manager. We are supported by 7 co-chairs: Che Sedanius, who is actually here with us, Daniel Malan, Gemma Ayolfi, who is also here with us, Ignacio Stefancic, Klaus Musmayer, Renaldo Goto, and Sunyansa. Members of our task force consist of 105 senior executives and professionals representing 28 different countries around the world. They have contributed greatly to the development of the policy paper as well. Our knowledge partner is Ernst & Young Indonesia. We also have 6 network partners consisting of the Basel Institute on Governance, the Business at OECD, the International Chamber of Commerce, the International Federation of Accountants, the Institute of Internal Auditors, and the World Economic Forum. Acting with integrity has always been a topic of concern by businesses around the world, especially due to the following 4 issues. The first one is on escalated integrity issues. Fraud is a significant concern for businesses around the world and has resulted in significant losses. On top of that, illicit trade, human rights violation, money laundering, terrorist financings are also integrity-related issues for businesses to focus on. The second one is related to the prolonged pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has completely changed our working mode from 100% offline to a hybrid working mode, online and offline. Businesses are also more reliant on digital and online platform and also have to adopt new digital business model. And associated to that is the new risk that we are actually facing. The third one is on geopolitical tension. Global food and energy crisis caused by supply chain disruptions have become real threats in many countries. Under that context, the risk of financial crime and corruption globally tend to increase to a greater extent as well. The fourth one is demand on business sustainability. Global investors are putting more and more emphasis on companies' sustainability practices, especially looking at aspects of environmental, social, and also governance. Responding to those key challenges, we finalized our policy recommendations in 4 main areas, supported by 9 policy actions and 40 policy sub-actions in our policy paper. The first policy recommendation is about promoting sustainable governance in business to support ESG initiatives. In this day and age, when global investors deploy their investment money, besides looking at the financial metrics, they would also like to assess whether the business has been run in a sustainable way. Specifically, they would like to look at how the company is addressing issues related to environment, social, and governance in its day-to-day activities. The biggest challenge, however, is that there is currently no global standard on the non-financial report that talks about the company's ESG implementation. In other words, different reports exist in different geographies. Such a standard doesn't even exist in many countries, especially in emerging markets, making comparison between companies very, very challenging. To address this, we developed 2 policy actions: improve sustainable governance measures and optimize sustainable governance compliance disclosure and monitoring. The key highlights of our recommendations are: put sustainable governance as high priority on the management agenda, strengthen board capacity and capability through empowering the role of audit and risk committees, prioritize corporate integrity, and assure effective compliance and internal audit functions, promote and accelerate the adoption of a high-quality, globally converged and accepted sustainability reporting, foster the development of high-quality international assurance standard on sustainability-related information. The second policy recommendation is about fostering collective action to alleviate integrity risk. Here we encourage optimization in the fundamental safeguards of integrity and transparency when interacting with business networks and government parties. To achieve this, strong collaborative effort between government, business, and civil society is needed through the so-called collective action initiatives. The three policy actions related to the second recommendations are cultivate and strengthen integrity through business-to-business collaboration, facilitate integrity in business to government interactions, and promote inclusiveness between public-private sector entities to ensure trust, transparency, and high standards of integrity. Within this recommendation, we propose G20 to encourage and facilitate public sector, private sector, and civil society collaboration and cooperation in tackling integrity risk. Adopt adequate internal controls, ethics, compliance programs, and business practice framework for preventing and detecting fraud risk. Foster regulations on the liability of legal person. Actively encourage the inclusion and participation of MSMEs, women-owned and minority-owned business in the public procurement. Equip internal and external auditors to better detect and address corruption. Provide assistance and guidance for MSMEs on improving their anti-corruption and integrity measures. The third policy recommendation is about fostering agility in counteract measures to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. Criminals are undoubtedly exploiting the COVID-19 pandemic and associated economic downturn to launder illicit funds. Current geopolitical tension undoubtedly have made the problem worse. There are two policy actions related to the third recommendations, which are refocus on money laundering, terrorist financing risk factors identification, and improve beneficial ownership transparency. The policy action aims to improve data availability, infrastructure supports, regulatory governance, and collaborative effort between parties and nations to maintain integrity in beneficial ownership transparency, while at the same time respect individual privacy expectation and rights. The third recommendation highlights few areas to update national, sectoral, and institutional money laundering terrorist financing risk assessment to better reflect the risk mapping and comprehensively mitigate the emerging risk. Ensure information technology system usage is proportionate to respective risk-based approach consideration. Implement laws and regulations that require maintaining beneficial ownership transparency, reporting any identified beneficial ownership information discrepancies, and imposing dissuasive action for non-compliance, and promote public and private partnerships and cross-jurisdiction collaboration to identify and inform the emerging risk. The fourth policy recommendation is about strengthening governance to mitigate exacerbated cybercrime risk. The COVID-19 pandemic has completely changed the way we work. Hybrid working mode, offline and online, is undoubtedly becoming our new normal. We are also becoming more and more interconnected through digitalizations. Cyber risk, therefore, has increased exponentially. The fourth recommendation is divided into two policy actions: rectify organizational governance structure and extend multi-stakeholders cooperations for better cybercrime response. This recommendation focuses on areas to strengthen capacity for technology foresight and assessment of potentially disruptive effects of technology. Agree on a clear definition of cyber literacy. Invest in training and infrastructure for business professionals. Build cyber hygiene culture and broaden the community and skills capacity of cybersecurity professionals. Aid and support for MSME sectors in minimizing the cybercrime risks. Enforce collective action between public-private sectors to combat cybercrime, and integrate cyber resilience in their supply chain to minimize cybercrime risks. All in all, we believe that our recommendations to the G20 will help in advancing innovative, inclusive, and collaborative work. Without G20 government's commitment, however, business efforts and society support, without G20 government commitments, business efforts, and society support, this aim will serve only as a tagline. Therefore, strong collaboration and cooperation, particularly in integrity and compliance area between all parties involved, become very crucial. We hope that our work will not remain as merely a paper, but will be implemented as policies in many G20 countries and beyond. Thank you and good afternoon.